legends are true.
You know, the Avengers discovered Shawarma.
You and me, all of us together, a team.
I take it they're not friendly.
Easy time, baby.
Hold your fire!
Welcome back, everyone. Maximum Effort. Marvel revealed another alternate ending that they had planned for Deadpool and Wolverine with a really big deleted scene, like a ton of alternate characters. So we'll break it all down because it is crazy. It also confirms a couple theories from early on when we first heard that they were going to be bringing back all these legacy Marvel characters from before the MCU existed, even though there were a lot of MCU jokes in the movie. There are even a couple really weird but really cool deep cut characters in this from the comics that didn't make the final cut too, that weren't from previous movies. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. There are so many different versions of this movie. We will probably keep hearing about all the deleted scenes and characters into next year. There was so much stuff that didn't make it into the final cut of this movie. You can make an entire movie with the deleted scenes. It's kind of like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, like topping the list of different Marvel movies with alternate versions of the movie inside the movie itself. Spider-Man No Way Home was a good version of that too. There were like 10 different versions of that movie at one point. But this one is primarily focused on a single scene in particular. It's totally alternate version of the final battle scene between Deadpool, Wolverine, and the entire Deadpool Corps. It's completely different from the one that made it into the final cut of the movie. This scene looks like a more direct parody of the Avengers Endgame portal scene, like it was meant to look like a one-to-one kind of thing. Notice the battlefield seems like it's still on the void because everything on the battlefield looks so destroyed, but it looks just like the battlefield at the end of Avengers Endgame. Most of the key characters are different. Also in the final version of the movie is just Deadpool and Wolverine versus the Deadpool Corps in that long Wonder tracking shot fighting the Deadpool Corps. It's a great scene. I love the final version. But it's nuts seeing some of the alternate versions that they had planned for that scene. You can kind of tell this is from a version of the movie that was meant to be wildly different than the one we saw in theaters. This version looks like it was going to be a much bigger fight scene involving the entire Resistance group of variants on the Void fighting with Deadpool and Wolverine after the last battle at the dead Ant-Man. And there was so much going on in this version of the final battle, so just starting with the biggest new stuff. Zoom and enhance, like there's going to be a lot of zooming and enhancing here. Notice in the background behind Wolverine, they said that this was meant to be Nicolas Cage's version of Ghost Rider. I think because this scene is meant to involve the Resistance group, that confirms that Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider was supposed to be on an early version of the Resistance group before they changed the roster. You do see him fighting with his chain, but he's also fighting a new Deadpool variant. This is also a super big deep cut from the comics too. Some of you will recognize this instantly. But if you don't read the comics, this variant is the Champion of the Universe from the comics, real name Trico Slatterus, who was originally one of the Elders of the Universe, like one of the people in the Thanos Infinity Gauntlet saga of comics who wielded the Infinity Stones. During that original comic book version that they adapted for the movies, Thanos had to go around killing the Elders of the Universe to take their Infinity Stones to form the Infinity Gauntlet. The Champion was the one who held the Power Gem in that version. In the movies, they changed it so that they were called Infinity Stones, not Infinity Gems, and the Power Stone was kept on Xandar, which Thanos wound up destroying to take before the beginning of Infinity War. That is like a whole other deleted scene I've done many videos about after Infinity War came out in theaters. It was crazy. They planned like a whole different version at the beginning of that movie. But here's the thing about this version of the Champion in Deadpool and Wolverine. He's actually called Champion Pool because these are all meant to be Deadpool variants. And he's from the Deadpool Corps comic book #2 issue where the Champion became part of the Deadpool Corps briefly. Now here's the thing, this is why it's such a big deep cut. He was never a Fox Marvel character or part of any of the pre-MCU movies. This would have been the first ever appearance of him in live action movies, like ever, which is probably one of the reasons why they cut him from the final version of the movie. Like way too confusing for non-comic book fans who would have probably just thought that he was another Deadpool. In the original issue where he joined the Deadpool Corps and started wearing the Deadpool suit, he didn't get Deadpool powers. Like he just literally put the suit on and Deadpool started calling him Champion Pool randomly. In the final version of the movie, all the Deadpool Corps members outside of Peter, like Peter Pool, were meant to be actual variants of Deadpool in some way, like actual versions of Wade Wilson from other universes. Next big deep cut deleted scene. Notice in the forefront to the left is Ben Affleck's Daredevil. So I talked about this a long time before the movie came out because Ben Affleck was actually spotted on the set of the movie while they were filming it. So people were like, wait a minute, is Ben Affleck actually going to be in the movie as his Daredevil? That would be crazy.
Punisher, the Quicksilver, the Daredevil.
Daredevil, I'm so sorry.
In the final version of the movie, we had Elektra with Jennifer Garner, who was married to Ben Affleck in real life since the events of their original Daredevil movie and the Elektra movie. That's one of the reasons why she had that joke about Ben Affleck's Daredevil when Deadpool was asking about him. Daredevil, like, is dead? Oh my God, that's terrible. And she said, oh, that's okay. Because in real life, they since got divorced a long time ago. Probably one of the funniest jokes in the movie, but you wouldn't really know that if you didn't know that they had been married and divorced. The writers did say for a while they were going to put Ben Affleck's Daredevil in the actual movie, but for whatever reason, talks broke down before he actually wound up in the movie. And I think the reason why he actually visited the set is because he was visiting Jennifer Garner while she was filming her scenes with their children that they share together. Fun fact too, Jennifer Garner has been posting a bunch of behind the scenes videos, all of them very funny, but in one of the scenes, she reveals that she actually thought that the Scarlet Witch statue from Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was actually Blake Lively's statue. Like she thought that this version of Scarlet Witch was meant to be a version of Blake Lively. After she posted her video, somebody corrected her and she gave like a big thumbs up, like, oh, thank you. So she filmed that entire movie thinking that that was Blake Lively. That would have actually been pretty funny. But right above Ben Affleck's Daredevil is Deadpool Dinosaur, the T-Rex here. That's his name from the comics. He's just called Deadpool Dinosaur, but he is a T-Rex version of Deadpool. Not a lot is written about his backstory in the Deadpool comics. Like, he just shows up one day in the Deadpool Corps, and you're meant to assume he came from a world where dinosaurs were supreme. They've done that trope on a billion other TV shows and movies before. Like, they literally just did something like that on Invincible Season 2 when Angstrom Levy threw Invincible to another reality where dinosaurs evolved instead of people, so they're super smart and they can talk.
It flies, too. Its wings must be invisible.
I'm assuming Deadpool Dinosaur came from a world like that. In the comics, though, all the backstories of the Deadpool Corps members are meant to be parodies of the original Deadpool origin story. Right above him, at the top left of the frame, is Squirrel Pool. He only appeared in like one comic book issue, like briefly, blink and you'll miss it. Deadpool kills Deadpool issue 4, he fights Bird Pool, then gets killed off, and like that's it. Like that's the joke, that he hates birds. Like most variants of Deadpool, he has a tiny pair of katanas, the same mask, and the tiny belt of pouches. Like they made that joke with Dogpool, like the tiny belt of pouches, but that's kind of a joke for all the versions of Deadpool and the Deadpool Corps. They all have either katanas or guns like Deadpool, the mask, and the belt of pouches. Mostly because of the Rob Liefeld pouches jokes, also the feet jokes too. The biggest Rob Liefeld joke in the actual movie was the feet joke, but another long-running gag on Rob Liefeld is his pouches, essentially. If you've never read any of Rob Liefeld's actual comics, most of his characters have crazy pouches. Then there's a bunch of other stuff on here too, but just focusing on the new stuff that didn't actually make the movie, there were a bunch of different lightsabers. The biggest being Kidpool's twin lightsabers from the comics. If you're not a big comic book reader, Kidpool is a teenage version of Deadpool from the comics who fights with twin lightsabers canonically. When he was created by Marvel in 2010, it was before Disney bought Star Wars, so at the time it was a much bigger shot at Star Wars, like a bigger parody of non-Disney Star Wars. Disney didn't actually buy Star Wars until about 2012. In the movie, Kidpool was played by Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's real-life daughter, Inez Reynolds. This is Ryan Reynolds on set, like leaning down to give her direction before their big fight scene, because she did have some speaking lines where she makes fun of Ryan Reynolds' main version of Deadpool. Basically another butt stuff joke involving Wolverine doing Deadpool. Funny that he would give his real-life daughter a line that allowed her to make fun of him so hard. Ryan Reynolds, Sean Levy said they originally wanted Walker Scobell as Kidpool because of his original Deadpool monologue joke from their Adam Project movie a couple years ago. He recited the entire opening monologue of Deadpool 2 where he complained about Hugh Jackman dying in Logan. It was mostly making fun of Hugh Jackman, but I posted that entire parody video on my channel a couple years ago, so I'll link it in the description below so you can watch the entire thing. It's actually pretty good. Ryan Reynolds barely makes it through his entire monologue before he cracks up laughing. In that movie, Walker Scobell played a younger version of Ryan Reynolds' character. So like he was a mini Ryan Reynolds. So the idea is they had such a fun time working together. They like Walker Scobell so much. And Sean Levy also directed that movie in addition to Deadpool and Wolverine. They're like, why don't we just reunite the team and bring Walker Scobell back? But because it took so many years to actually make Deadpool and Wolverine, in that time, Walker Scobell grew big time. So if they'd actually had him in the movie, he would have been big enough to look like another adult version of Deadpool. Like you would have lost all the Kidpool jokes and they wanted like a little tiny Kidpool. So that's why Kidpool wound up being Ryan Reynolds' real life daughter, because she's so little. But in the movie, she just has the normal guns, like not actual lightsabers. Most people felt like this was a huge missed opportunity because now that Disney owns Star Wars and they own Marvel, it should be way easier for them to do lightsabers without getting their pantsuit off. My guess is they chose to remove them for budget reasons. Like Ryan Reynolds said, one of the biggest reasons why some of the cameos didn't make it is because of budget. They wanted to keep the movie around $200 million. And even though special effects, visual effects have gotten way better recently, cheaper to do certain things, it's still really expensive to do lightsaber effects. Next big lightsaber, like those aren't the only lightsabers. Zoom and enhance up at the top of the frame here. There's a third one behind Blade. It's blue, and it looks like it's being wielded by a Ladypool variant. The one behind Wesley Snipes' Blade. It's cool to see that he was always in the movie, like they always plan on doing a version of Blade. My guess is that this lightsaber got removed for similar reasons, like just too much money. Also, they probably only wanted the one Ladypool variant played by Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' real-life wife. Headpool here was in the final version of the movie, played by Nathan Fillion of all people. That feels crazy. Like, get the biggest actor you can imagine playing a role that nobody would recognize unless they saw him in the credits because he's doing a different voice.
Hold your fire! Sweet little puppy.
Let me know in the comments if you knew that it was Nathan Fillion before you saw the credits. Personally, I actually thought that it was going to be Nolan North, just because it sounded a little bit like Nolan North's version of Deadpool. That was kind of like the Matthew McConaughey Cowboy Pool twist, like the biggest actor you can imagine for the smallest cameo role ever. Like Brad Pitt's cameo in Deadpool 2 as the Vanisher. 2-second blink and you'll miss it kind of cameo. Probably one of the other biggest changes, it looks like Chris Evans, Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four, was meant to survive the entire movie till the final battle and fight with that resistance group against all the Deadpool variants. Maybe that's why in the script, all the resistance group fighters were talking about Johnny like he'd been part of their team, like he was originally meant to fight in that final battle. You could see his fire leaving a trail across the entire battlefield in the background here with him burning the hell out of this Deadpool variant. My guess is that in this version of the movie, his post-credit scene would have had to have been a little different because in the final version of the movie, it was him foretelling his death, like Deadpool proving that all the terrible stuff that he said about Cassandra Nova was true. Chris Evans actually joked that one of his requirements for actually being in the movie was that they had to leave in his post-credit scene where he got to be super foul-mouthed, and he wanted it to be a super foul-mouthed cameo scene, like they didn't want him to water it down at all. All because he never got to be like that with his Captain America, like his whole thing was the language joke. So this Chris Evans Fantastic Four post-credit scene was always meant to be the post-credit scene, like it had to be the post-credit scene at the beginning, but it probably changed what was actually happening in the scene itself. Because Sean Levy said that Ryan Reynolds actually wrote all the nasty stuff that Chris Evans said in the actual final version of the movie the day right before he filmed it, meaning they probably had another version of that scene ready to go. No idea what he would have been doing instead of all this foul-mouthed stuff while he was in the ball here. Probably like a less foul-sounding version of this. You just have to imagine Chris Evans telling him on the phone, no, more language, dial it way up, like make it way crazier. Down at the bottom right here, Dogpool also looks much more like comic book Dogpool from the Deadpool core. I'm guessing they figured this scene out before they'd actually cast the real-life dog that played Dogpool in the movie. Also notice what's missing in this scene. It looks like early on, they didn't have Channing Tatum's Gambit, no X-23, so my guess is that's who they swapped Ghost Rider and Ben Affleck's Daredevil for in the script. There are probably a bunch of different versions of that Resistance team just based on all the deleted scenes that they've been talking about. They name-drop Quicksilver and Magneto too. I wouldn't be surprised if they had versions of them in the movie at one point. There were like 5 different credited writers on the movie, so like if you heard about different versions of the movie before it came out, those are probably correct and just happened to be one of the versions of the movie before it got changed again. One of the weird things though, Halle Berry said that Ryan Reynolds never asked her to be in the movie, and I actually believe her, like I don't think she's lying about it or anything. My guess is that it might have something to do with Wesley Snipes' Blade cameo, because if he was always going to be in the movie, like from the very beginning, supposedly he and Halle Berry have some real-life drama that goes way, way back to when she was really, really young. Maybe that's why he didn't ask her to be in the movie, or maybe it was just purely a budgetary thing, because that's the reason why a lot of like the real big X-Men characters didn't show up in the movie. Generally just because of budget. That's the whole reason why he had the Johnny Storm Chris Evans joke. Do you know what he was doing to the budget of this movie? That's one of the reasons why they probably killed him off quicker. I've already done like a whole other deleted scenes alternate ending video because there are like a couple different versions of the ending of this movie, so I'll post links for that at the end of this. One of them involving a whole lot of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. That's right, Iron Man was originally going to be in this movie. If we hear about any other like really crazy deleted scenes or characters, of course I will do a video about it. Everybody click here for that other Deadpool and Wolverine deleted scenes video to learn about all the other deleted scenes, and click here for that brand new Thunderbolts trailer they just released. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one in maximum effort.